All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 6 o'clock, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time because we know it's, right around dinner time tonight, and we want to make sure that everyone that has taken the time out to be with us tonight, that has scheduled this, can continue doing what you need to do at home to take care of your children. My name is Lelaine Perez, and I'm the Executive Director of Language Development here at the Chula Vista Elementary School District, and I work very closely with our parent leadership. And so, one of the benefits that we provide to all of our parents is a series of parent workshops. And tonight we are having our last parent workshop for the school year, and we're very pleased to have our coordinator of physical education, health, and wellness, Ms. Heather Cruz, here with us tonight to give a very special presentation on how to promote health and wellness at home. And this is going to be really important because, this year our students may have been a little bit less physically active because they've been sitting at home in front of a computer, and maybe, opportunities to go outside and play have been a little bit more restricted because of some of our social distancing guidelines. But, summer is coming up, and hopefully there will be less restrictions in the next couple of weeks. And your children are going to want to get out there and play, and you want to get back on track with getting them physically active and healthy so that we could be ready for the new school year. So we're going to learn a lot from Miss Heather Cruz. And so at this time, I want to thank you all for being here and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Miss Heather Cruz. And just as a reminder, please make sure that your microphones are muted during the presentation. And you're welcome to have cameras on or off, but you might want to go ahead and pin Miss Cruz so that she is at the center of your screen, and so that you're not distracted by other people's cameras. So you can certainly, if you hover over her name by the three dots, you might see something that says pin, and you can pin her to the screen so that you can focus your attention on her PowerPoint, and her presentation. All right, thank you, Miss Cruz. I'm handing it over to you now.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me here tonight. I'm so excited to be here and have the opportunity to speak with you all. And I am hoping that this will be somewhat interactive. So I'm going to ask you at different points to respond to certain questions, and that can be done in the chat. And then you could also, when there's time for questions, if you want to raise your virtual hand at the top, there's the little smiley face and the hand. And if you put your hand there, I'll try to get to those as quickly as I can. Okay. But please, if you want to have something to write on next to you, or we can use the chat feature as well, that will be great. So I'm going to go ahead and start presenting here. And so I really just wanted to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you guys about building those healthy habits at home. As Lelaine said, we have been at home a lot lately, and so we have lots of time there and lots of practice, or lots of opportunities to practice. And so what I want to make this is a time where you reflect on what you think your next best step is. So I'm going to give you a lot of information here, but it's not going to be something that I would expect everything to be implemented. It's really about what's best for you and your family, okay? So first, when we talk about health, so if somebody says, oops, did I go off of there? Can you still see my slideshow?
Yes, Ms. Cruz, we see it says types of health.
Perfect, thank you. So when we are talking about types of health, there are a lot of different types of health. So what are some of the things that you think of when somebody talks about the different types of health that there are? If you have any that pop into your mind. So it might be blank health. It is my blank health, or another type of health. Go ahead and put those in the chat, and we can read those out. Mental health. Yep, that's one. Can you think of another one? Physical health. Emotional health. Yep, good. So, environmental health, very good. There are many different types of health. Spiritual health is another one. So, when we talk about the types of health, we're focusing here within our school community on 4 different types of health. And as we said, we had additional ones that we brought up, but we would say physical, mental, there's social emotional health, financial, spiritual, all of those that we discussed just now. So I want us to focus today on physical health, not because it's the most important, but because it is the one that comes under my my category of physical education, health, and wellness. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to build those healthy habits at home related to your physical health. So next one, when you think of your physical health, what do you think are the components that contribute to your physical health? So in other words, what parts or decisions in your daily life determine your physical health? Exercise, activity, diet, your eating habits, stress, sleep, your consistency, your routines, all of those contribute to our physical health. Okay, and so as we are looking at this, here are some of the major components of our daily lives that affect you and your family's physical health. We could talk about hygiene, we could talk about self-care, hydration, nutrition, activity, sleep. I'm going to go into each one of these today, okay? And then there are other ones, but these are a few, like it says here, a healthy day, a few easy ways you and your family can make healthier choices every day, focusing on these 6 areas. Now, when I read that, because I did not create this infographic, when I read that, I thought, well, it seems easy enough, but in reality, we're all extremely busy, and sometimes just brushing my teeth is all I get done out of all of these. And so I'm hopeful that I'm not the only one that has that issue, but it is hard to tend to all of these and the others that you guys mentioned in the chat. So I want you to take a look at this and remember that life is a marathon, not a sprint. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I'm going to give you a lot of information here, but I don't want you to think that you should be getting all of these things done right now, okay? You can't do everything today, but you can take one small step. And so as we go through this presentation, I want you to be thinking about what is your next small step that you would like to take, okay? And then I also want you to remember that we are your partner here. Here at the Chula Vista Elementary School District, we really value the health and well-being of your child, but not only of your child, we value the health and well-being of our employees, We value the health and well-being of our families because you are our greatest partner in this. And so at the end, I'm going to go over some of these things, but I just wanted to list some of the things that we're doing here on our end to be your partner in promoting health and wellness in our schools and throughout our communities. All right. So let's break each of these down and see what your next best step may be. Sleep. When we look at sleep, it says improved sleep quality can lead to improvements in health, well-being, and academic achievement. Yes, it is true. And according to the CDC, we have infants like up to 12 months. They're going to need between 12 and 16 hours of sleep. That's including naps. If you have toddlers that are 1 to 2 years old, they need about 11 to 14 hours. Your preschool age children, if you have 3 to 5-year-olds, need 10 to 13 hours. And school age children, which would be most of us have school age children, they need 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And generally they're not taking naps on a regular basis. So if they're getting to bed, if they're expected to wake up at 7 a.m., then they're going to need to get to bed prior to 10 p.m. just to get that 9 hours. If we want them to get 12 hours, that may be as early as 7 p.m. if they're getting up at 7 a.m. Our teens are needing 8 to 10 hours, and us as adults, it is important for us to take care of ourselves. We need at least 7 or more hours of sleep. I'm getting a little feedback, so if you can make sure that you're muted, everybody, thank you. So one of the things that is especially important is preparing our children for their bedtime. So I'm going to read off some of these activities that we can do to prepare our students or our children to get the best sleep that they can every single night. So starting the bedtime routine at the same time every night. So first of all, having a routine. What is it that they have to do every night to get ready for bed? Having that routine and then starting it at the same time every night. Now, I have 2 children of my own that are extremely busy with sports, and this gets interrupted regularly. But I do still try to make sure that we are sticking to it as much as possible and trying to move things around so at the end of the day, they don't have as many activities that they need to do to prepare for bed that could have been done prior to a practice or something. Set the alarm for the same time every morning. I know I don't like that, but it gets our body into that rhythm of going to bed on time, and then it wakes up on time or at the same time. Putting away and powering off devices. I'm guessing that many of you have heard that one before, but it really is the light that we receive from those electronic devices stimulates our brain, and so it makes it much more difficult to go to sleep. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but certain devices trigger you differently as well. For example, I can watch the actual television and be okay. It doesn't take me too long to calm down after that or get to a state of sleeping. But if I am watching on my iPad or on my cell phone, it takes me a lot more time. It's noticeable for me. So just know that there may be a difference there between different devices. And then another suggestion is to do those calming activities that remind your body that it's time to sleep. So oftentimes we can take a shower or a bath at the end of the day. That relaxes our body. It signals our body that we are getting ready to sleep. Reading a book, listening to relaxing music, or playing some sort of repetitive game that doesn't require a lot of thinking. A few more. So just doing activities that calm your mind and help relieve stress and anxiety. You've probably heard of counting sheep. So that is, again, something that just kind of relieves that stress and anxiety. It's repetitive. And so those are things that calm our mind so that we can get into that sleep state. Journaling is another one. Breathing exercises. Yoga is great. And then some additional tips is just to make sure that like your bedroom is quiet and dark and relaxing. Make sure that the temperature is comfortable for you. And then another one that isn't on here, but I wanted to bring it up, is avoid those large meals later in the evening. So if you can get if you are going to have a large meal, try to plan it for earlier in the evening. Or if you're just going to have a regular size meal, it could be a little bit later. Caffeine, I think we all know that's going to keep us up. Definitely affects children too. And for adults, alcoholic beverages also make it so that it's harder for you to go to sleep. Exercise is great, and it doesn't have to be right before, but if you can be physically active during the day, then it is easier to fall asleep at night. So I want you to think of those different activities and what's one of those that you might consider adding to your kids' nightly routine before they go to bed. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Yoga. And there's lots of great YouTube videos for yoga. I don't know if you've heard of Cosmic Kids Yoga. I love it. She has an English accent, and so I just enjoy listening to her speak. And if you've been on a call here with Elizabeth Janulis, she may have already done this one with you, but it's a very basic box breathing technique. And so all it is you're going to trace a box with your hand like this, but when you go up, you're going to breathe in. When you go across, you hold the breath. When you go down, you breathe out. And then when you go across, you hold that out breath. Okay, so it goes something like this. And so that's just a breathing exercise. It's really easy to calm your mind in any type of stressful situation or to calm yourself to go to bed as well. Okay. I will have time for questions as well. So if you're thinking of them, feel free to put them in the chat or have them ready for the chat. Rudy, Amazon story time on Echo, low volume with a 1 hour timer. What a great idea. Yep, I love it. So the next thing, remember, we're looking at all of these that can make a healthy day, is hygiene. So brushing your teeth, it's the perfect start to a healthy day. And when we're thinking about hygiene and brushing our teeth, some of the things that you may have already heard, we think that we think dental hygiene generally is talking about just our teeth as far as our health, but our dental hygiene actually affects our entire body's health. So making sure that we are brushing at least twice a day after breakfast and before going to bed, brushing all of our teeth. Timer's good here as well. 2 to 3 minutes of brushing is recommended. Flossing every day, as you probably know. Picking a toothbrush and toothpaste that you like, that's pretty basic, but it is a good reward for students or for your children as well. A new toothbrush every 3 months, and it is recommended that you use the soft bristles. So if you're purchasing toothbrushes, the soft is what's best. And try to visit the dentist twice a year if you can. And eating lots of fruits and vegetables are key here for the dental hygiene. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video, and I'm hoping that it is going to, let me just do this here real quick. I'm going to post it in the chat so that you have it. I'll play it on here as well, but in case it doesn't work, I'll go ahead and do this. Let me see if I can get it. Sorry, you know what I need to do is to make sure that I'm including my system audio. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back here, include my sound. I'm going to go here. Let's see if we can go here.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Gene.
You know, being named Gene, I hear that a lot. And so naturally, I took an interest in hygiene. You guys probably already know a bunch of stuff about hygiene, like wash your hands after going to the bathroom. But did you guys know all of this stuff already?
So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. It's not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. It's not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. People wonder how I stay so fresh. My skin, my hair, and my breath. It's not magic, I got a routine. Taking care of my personal hygiene. I believe that health is wealth. That's why I take care of myself. I always want to look and smell my best, even if no one else is impressed. The one thing you should understand, these germs can mess with your plans. That's why when I get the chance, I make sure that I wash my hands. Soap and water and I don't rush, but I don't waste either cause I don't need much. Before I eat, before I sleep, after playing in the street or with animals I meet. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. Not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. It's not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. Now let's talk about teeth and gums. Even though it doesn't sound like fun, you can save on your dentist bills. Flossing is better than needles and drills. If you brush your teeth twice a day, it fights plaque and tooth decay. 2 minutes of time is nothing. I listen to my favorite song while I'm brushing. Before my body starts to stink, I use the bathtub, what do you think? I take a shower or a bath. If I'm singing a song, you know I'm having a blast. Everybody has different needs. I found things that work for me. Find something that's right for you, and you can have good hygiene too. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. It's not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. So many reasons to stay clean. Take care of your personal hygiene. It's not just how you look and smell. Good hygiene keeps you healthy as well. Wash your hands, brush your teeth, clean your face and your feet. Wash your clothes and your hair and your ears everywhere. Wash your hands, brush your teeth, clean your face and your feet. Wash your clothes and your hair and your ears everywhere.
So hopefully you enjoyed that. I love that video, and I just think it's great to share with kids. I think they find it very catchy. At least I have found it catchy for myself. So feel free to share that link with your kids and have them watch the video to teach them or to reinforce ideas about hygiene. All right, so the next piece to a healthy day is self-care and social connection. And so this is really about social emotional health. And so here is a link as well that I want to share with you. For quick connections. And so this is really here, what we're thinking about is just the idea that when we are at home, we do need to be connecting with our children and with the other people that are in our house. And so I provided you with a link to a resource, the Healthy at Home Toolkit, and within there it has these quick connection cards. And so they're just some ideas for you. I'm sure you have a lot of great conversation starters, but sometimes I really struggle with getting my own children to share more than just the most basic information. And so if we're not asking those yes and no questions, we can get more response from them. So these quick connections, they have conversation starters like what would be your perfect day? What's the nicest thing someone else has done for you? Or if you could ask anyone to teach you something, who would you ask and what would you want to learn? And so you can't answer those questions with a yes or a no or a good or fine. Those are some of the answers that I get if I don't ask the right questions. And then there's also some collaboration pieces there. These are more like activities that can be done. For example, working together on an activity. So use 2 pieces of large paper as lily pads. Cross the room with your buddy, stepping only on 2 lily pads without touching the water. So it seems easy, but if you're each on a lily pad, then you don't have another lily pad to advance you further. So you got to figure out some way to get on one lily pad so that you can advance that other lily pad without falling into the water. Another one would be to work with your buddy to build a paper airplane using only one hand each. So you guys can each use your right hand if you want, or one of you can use a right and a left, or both of you can use your left. So just trying to build a paper airplane and seeing if it can fly. And then there are other community builders on there, but that would be more for a larger group. So maybe if you have a bunch of kids, you could play it. Or if you have other kids over, you could do some of those. But one example from there would just be a wander break, where one person starts as the announcer and everyone else there wanders. And when the announcer says wander, and everyone slowly walks around the room. But then when the announcer calls out break, you all break into a whatever number they say. So they say break in a number. So if they say break 4, then you need to get into a group of 4 as quickly as possible. So that link will get you to all of those quick connections if you click on the Healthy at Home Toolkit. Other social connections, again, there's 20 family bonding activities that you can go through. And while, like for me, one of these that I really enjoy is obstacle course, building an obstacle course. But that's for me. And so I think it's really important as we're doing some of these activities to let our children be the ones that are choosing them, right? And so asking them. And so instead of giving them a food reward for doing something that you wanted them to do, giving them choice as a reward is a lot healthier for them. So they may get a chance to choose one of these family bonding activities. Okay. But I really wanted to focus more on these last three, which are hydration, nutrition, and activity. So these are the ones, while they all contribute to our physical health, I think these are the ones that are more typical when you're thinking of your physical, like what you eat and what you drink, and then the physical activity that you have. So I'll spend a little more time on these. But before I move on, I want to see, do we have anything, any questions for me? I'm going to check the chat real quick. Oh, you can see my next slide and the primary slide. Okay, let me see. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to end that, and I'm going to if you have any questions for me, go ahead and put them in the chat now, and then I'll start resharing again here in a second.
Miss Cruz, there is a question. If you could please repost the hygiene video link.
Yes. There it is. Are there any others there, Lonnie?
I don't see any other questions.
Perfect.
Is there, if our interpreters are listening in, if there are any questions on the Spanish channel, if you can make sure that we receive those questions, that'd be great as well. Yeah, I don't think there are any, Miss Cruz.
Sounds good. Then we will keep going, and I will go from here. All right, here we go. So as far as hydration, this is a really, really important one. When we think of eating healthy, we mostly think of the food that we're consuming, but I would honestly say if there is one recommendation that I can give to new parents that haven't yet established eating habits for their children, but then also for any parent, whatever age your child is, this would be the one that I would say, do this. And it is to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And by hydrate, I mean water. We have, there is a program called Rethink Your Drink, and it's all about the amounts of sugar that are in our drinks. And so when we look at the amount of added sugar that our kids should be getting, it is a maximum of 25 grams, which is 6 teaspoons. Now, one thing I want to really make sure to emphasize is that this is of added sugars. So as you may know, there are many sugars that occur in our foods naturally. Okay, fruit is one of the big ones. We have naturally occurring fruit in naturally occurring sugars in fruit. And then certain fruit juices that don't have added sugars will also have a high sugar content. And even some vegetables will have some sugars in them. So I am not talking about that sugar. This is the added sugar, the sugar that does not occur naturally. That is what should be limited to 6 teaspoons or less for kids. And actually for women as well, the recommendation is 6 teaspoons or 25 grams of added sugar. For men, the general guideline is 9 teaspoons or 35 grams of added sugar daily, but that's just generally because men are bigger and eat more calories or have a higher caloric intake. So it really isn't about whether you are male or female. It's more about your size. And so those are just, I just wanted to give you kind of like an average. Women generally should have less added sugars daily than men. So that's what you can see here. And so if 6 teaspoons, let's say for our kids, are the recommendations, then if they drink one Coke, they're already way above. That has about 39 grams of sugar. They're only supposed to have 25 grams, remember? Just from that soda. From a Gatorade, we think sports drinks, those are healthier. No, they're not. Those have about 34 grams or 8.5 teaspoons of added sugar. And so why I said that I think that hydration is the most important is because I think this is one of the easiest ways that we can improve the health of our students and ourselves. I do want to put a little asterisk next to the Minute Maid. That's orange juice. You see that it says 12 teaspoons. That's not going to be added sugar. That's going to be naturally occurring sugar. So really, I would put an X over that Minute Maid. That doesn't go along here with the actual added sugar. But a Starbucks drink, you can see 45 grams of sugar is going to be really hard to, unless you don't have any added sugar, maybe for the rest of the week, then you're going to be at above your allotment for the day or for the week. Okay. So I recommend for parents, if you are having your children drink soda, that would be the one change I would highly recommend, is to say, okay, soda is a treat, maybe every once in a while, but it should not be a regular part of their diet. It also has caffeine, which has some effects on children. Has more effects on children as well. So water just in general is extremely important for our health. It makes up 2/3 of our body. And so I know that we don't always want to just drink water. And so some fun ways to make it a little more exciting is some sort of infused water or spa water. And this is really easy, especially with the fruit that we have available to us here in San Diego pretty much year round. You can do a lot of different ones. So there's strawberry, mint, and you just cut up fruit and you put it in a pitcher of water. I don't generally make just one glass. It seems like almost a waste, but I like to put it into a pitcher and just have some infused water in the fridge. Now, a little tip here is that you don't want to make huge jugs of this because the fruit will start to go bad in the water. And some fruits are worse than others. Strawberries are not a very good one. They don't last in the water very long before they get mushy. Same with blueberries as well. And so just an idea to make a smaller batch of some of those, but having it ready in the fridge for you and your family to choose as an alternative to either soda or chocolate milk or something like that. Another tip with this is if you were people in your family are soda drinkers, you can change this to not just water, but you can also you can add a sparkling water to it, and it'll give you a little bit of that fizz. It's definitely not going to be as sweet as a soda. I won't even try to say that it is, but it will give you a little bit of sweetness, but it's going to have only those naturally occurring sugars. So this is one huge step that can be taken to reduce the amount of added sugar that is in our diets, our daily diets. So I know I've gone through quite a bit here. I wanted to have you take some time to reflect. We'll do a 1, 1, and 1. There's different ways you can do this, but I want you to write down, and if you feel comfortable to put it in the chat, then maybe Lelaine, you could read them to me because I'm not able to see it right now. But 1, 1, and 1. So one interesting fact or like a new learning for you, one question that you might have going on in your head, and one action step that you're thinking of. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to do your 1, 1, and 1. An interesting fact, a question, and an action step.
And Miss Cruz, you wanted me to read the facts and questions and action steps as the parents place them in the chat. Is that what you?
That would be great if you could. We have 15 more seconds, and then maybe we could, if you could go over some of those, that would be
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much. All right, that's time. Yeah, I think that when I'm going back and forth to the chat, Lelaine, I think it is, it's moving my PowerPoint. So if you wouldn't mind reading them, that would be great.
Yes. I don't see any submissions yet, but hopefully they start coming in.
Okay.
All right. We do have a comment. Social emotional growth is linked to physical health. So that sounds like a fact that one parent learned. Another parent said they learned about the importance of the sleep and the sugar control. And we have another parent that learned, I am shocked by the amount of sugar that is in the individual items. A question is, how am I being a model for my son to display healthy habits? And then an action step this parent will take is to identify their own unhealthy habits and work with their son to work on one thing at a time.
I love that. I think I'm thinking that as you're sitting here, as I was going through all of this, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. And like I said from the beginning, if we're expecting our kids to do all these things all at once, if we haven't been doing most of them, that's going to be a lot for them too. So I appreciate that comment, and really just thinking about what is that next best step? What is one thing that you want to focus on? What do you think that you or your family or your children or child are ready for at this point? It may not be, all of them, but the little changes that you can make, and it never is too late to start. But I will tell you that the earlier you start building those habits, the easier it is when they get older.
And they are starting to come in. So another parent is saying that all of these suggestions are fabulous, but how do I get my children to do them? It's a daily battle.
So that is so true. I can tell you as far as nutrition, well, so a few of those, we'll get to some of the tips for that, but I'll tell you as far as nutrition, one of the things that I learned that was very surprising to me was that it takes a child or any of us approximately 12 to 15 times of trying a certain food before before you can really say, yeah, that is not for me. Because the first time that I tried Brussels sprouts, not for me. I did not enjoy them. And so as your children are kind of refusing these foods, continue to provide them. Do not force them to eat them, but encourage them to try them, and just know that sometimes it's going to take a while. But if it's been, say, 12 or 15 times that you have provided that food and they're still like, this is not for me, that may be one of the things that they just don't like. To this day, my husband does not like corn. And it's just not something that he enjoys. And so I'm not going to, continue to provide him with corn when I know that he's not going to like it. But just because you tried it one time doesn't mean that you're going to, that should get off of the menu forever. Some of the other things, it is about modeling. And I know that that's hard, but the more we can model for them, then the more that they are going to see that they should be doing it. And the reason why I say that is because all of this information is for adults as well. So the healthy day is for you too, and you are extremely important. And so making sure that we have that you're taking care of yourself as well, that can be done through the modeling. So maybe that would be a next best step for you, in that you want to model one of these for your children. That might be your next best step.
All right. Another comment by a parent is minimizing the amount of added sugars is a super important step. Another parent said, we will ask more open-ended questions to build dialogue. Be intentional. And I'm not sure if this is to ask you more open-ended questions or ask their children more open-ended questions, but I don't know, Miss Cruz, maybe at the end of the presentation, parents have a chance to ask questions. I'm sure they will.
Yes.
Another parent says, thank you for the information regarding sugar. I will be making some changes. And for example, less chocolate milk and more water. I'm thinking of having a portable waterproof radio in the bath so that he can enjoy music and take his time brushing. Another parent is commenting that the information is interesting. And then one parent has a question, what tips can you provide for parents to get more active with their kids as a way to minimize the use of cell phone usage?
All right. So thank you for all those comments. And so one question that last question about how can you provide, or how can you get more active and minimize the use of cell phone usage? Well, first of all, you're on the right track, because if you can get active, then we don't need to be using our cell phones as much. We're not sitting with our cell phones. And I'm going to provide you with an answer, and it is my honest answer, and hopefully you can glean something from it. But essentially, the best activity to do with your children is any activity that you guys enjoy doing. So if you and your family enjoy walking around the block, then that's the activity that you're going to stick with the most, and therefore that's what you should be doing. If you and your family enjoy kicking a ball around or playing a little mini like soccer game or a keep away game, then that's what you guys should be doing. So I'm going to go on in a minute to some information about physical activity. So maybe sharing some of this information with your children as well, and letting them know the reason why they are being physically active might be another tip for you. Okay. So Lelaine, are you guys seeing my PowerPoint still or no?
We can see it. It says a healthy day checklist, full screen.
All right. So for nutrition, like I said, added sugar, you already saw this. And I showed you rethinking your drink, but the reason why we need to rethink our drinks is because added sugar is everywhere. It's in so many of our foods. So we don't think when we are having some noodles with pasta sauce that we're getting a bunch of extra sugar, but we are. So pasta sauces have 6 to 12 grams per half cup serving. So right there, you're already at about a quarter or a half of your added sugar just by having pasta. So if you threw in that extra drink that had added sugar, now you're way above. So my whole point in the rethink your drink is that we're getting our added sugar from the foods that we're eating generally if we're not careful. And so just adding on those drinks makes it even harder. Granola bars have lots. Yogurt, flavored yogurt has a lot of added sugar. Instant oatmeals, salad dressings, ketchup. So it's in so many of our foods. So really looking on a nutrition label, they are now being required to include the amount of added sugar. So don't worry so much about the naturally occurring sugars and the total sugar content, but where it says added sugars, that's what you want to be looking at. Okay. And don't get tricked. There are lots of sneaky names for sugar. So even though you may think, oh, well, I have a diet, whatever, soda or something, there are lots of different names for sugar. It'll say sugar free, but it's not. It doesn't mean that it means that it doesn't have regular sugar, but it may have these other types of sugar. So you can see all the different names that they have. Okay. I'm going to, for sake of time, because we do only have I have 7 more minutes on here. I have a video here that I will put the link to in the chat. But you can watch this one on your own time. But basically what it is real solutions from real families. So it's these different families, all different types of families, and they are sharing their stories of how they work towards eating healthy. And a few key points that they shared that stood out to me was not naming foods as good or bad. So like I said, I'm not saying don't ever have a soda and that soda is bad, but it is a food that should be consumed in small amounts, but it's not bad. Having healthy food accessible, one of the families talks about. So having it in the refrigerator, ready to go. If you have just a cantaloupe out on the counter that is a whole cantaloupe, your kid's not going to eat that, right? And so having it already cut and in the fridge, ready for them to just grab, is one of the key strategies that you can use to make sure that they're getting, they're reaching for the healthy choice. One of the parents mentioned, like, if she has a thing of grapes in there that, or a container of grapes that hasn't been washed, like she just will open it and then shut the fridge again and go for something that's unhealthy. So it's as simple as just making sure that you've washed the grapes, cut up the fruit, made the spa water or the infused water so that it's ready, because we want things that are easy. And so the more we can prepare it for them to make that healthy choice, the more likely they are to have a healthy choice. Same thing with apples. If we can cut them up, if you put a little bit of lemon juice on them, they don't discolor as quickly. But a lot of kids don't want to go and grab a whole apple and eat it, but if it's cut, then they will eat it. And then another tip that one of the families made was that it doesn't have to be fancy. And I will tell you, this is one of my own favorite tips, is that this person mentioned, just put some fruit out and they'll eat it. You don't need to make it some fancy thing. And this is my go-to. Like I said, sports kind of rules our lives right now. And when I get home, I try and get a healthy meal out, but I don't always succeed. And so even if I'm making it to Chick-fil-A with my family for dinner, guess what? When we get home to eat it, I am pulling out fruit and I'm saying, yes, you may have the unhealthy or not the best choice of a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, let's say, but alongside of that, I want you to have some strawberries. I want you to have some blueberries or raspberries. So just putting it out there for them, because we're not going to be perfect with all the healthy foods. Okay. So those were some of the key points that I thought were really good from this video. My Plate is a good guide and simple for children. So about half of their plate should be filled with fruits and vegetables, and then a quarter or so of grains and a quarter of protein. So this is what we're teaching in schools, is My Plate. And then as far as physical activity, just a few things to touch on here. Students should be getting 1 hour or 60 minutes of physical activity daily. Okay. And so that means that anything that raises their heart rate, this does not mean they need to be doing a workout. This can be, moving around, dancing in their room. That raises your heart rate. Even doing chores, if you're having them vacuum, that's raising their heart rate. So that is anything that raises their heart rate would be considered physical activity. And then on top of that, kids and teens need to be doing muscle strengthening 3 times a week. No, they do not need to be lifting weights. I would discourage that for the younger ages, but muscle strengthening activities or anything that make their muscles work hard. So it could be weight bearing activities such as squats or push-ups. It can be monkey bars, so going across the monkey bars, climbing on different things. All of that is going to be muscle strengthening. And then bone strengthening activities at least 3 times a week. Think of bone, the way that bone gets stronger is by having force on it. And so anything where they're jumping or running or going up and down on things, so that's going to strengthen their bones. So within those 60 minutes daily, 3 times a week, they should be doing some sort of bone strengthening. So if you think of jumping jacks, would be bone strengthening. And it would also be getting their heart rate up. And then just in case you're wondering, for adults need about 150 to 300 minutes weekly. And then as adults, we should also be doing muscle strengthening at least 2 days a week. And then as we become seniors, we really want to be focusing on the balancing exercises. Okay. So that's whatever, like I said, whatever it is that they want to be doing, I think also showing them that physical activity has been proven to stimulate brain activity. So don't just leave the physical activity for the end of the day. Oftentimes after school, parents want to have their child sit down and do their homework right away. It may be a routine that you want to get into to allow them to do some sort of physical activity that gets their heart rate elevated, and then have them come and sit down to work on whatever homework they may have. And it has been shown that there's additional brain activity after about 20 minutes of like brisk walk activity. Okay. But remember, life is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And we are here with you. Our wellness policy and some of the things that we have in place through our wellness policy are here to support you and your child. That's why we don't allow, say, cupcakes for birthday celebrations. You can imagine with 30 kids in a classroom, that would be 30 birthdays potentially per year that would be celebrated with cupcakes. That means your kid's getting an average of maybe 3 every month just in the classroom. We have site wellness leads, so you can work with if you're curious who your site wellness lead is, your principal will know who it is, and that person is responsible for bringing additional wellness information to the school. And so if you have any ideas of wellness efforts that you'd like to see at your school, you might want to contact whoever the site wellness lead is at your school. We do have PE teachers at some schools, and even the schools that do not have PE teachers all have a PE minutes mandate. So now this was a little different within the pandemic, but so it was waived for the pandemic years. But when we go back, it will be a mandate that students receive 200 minutes of physical education every 10 days, which equates to about 20 minutes a day. But it doesn't have to be daily. But there is that mandate. So making sure that your child is receiving that physical education is a conversation that you can have with them and with their classroom teacher. And then Wellness Wednesday fitness events. Hopefully, if you want to have your children, and it's a family event, that you can come to our Wellness Wednesday events. We had our last one for the year this past Wednesday. And so we're hopeful that these will start up again. But when you see the flyer come out from your classroom teacher, you can join these virtual fitness events, hopefully. So that is all I have. Here's my contact information if you're interested in sending me any questions. I know that we are just about at time, I think. We're over time, but feel free to give me a call or to send me an email. And I am happy to work with you and be a partner here. If you want some additional ideas specific to your situation, I'm always happy to help.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. And there was a comment here by a parent. Yes, agree. Start prepping healthy foods for you and your children. Even putting an ice chest in your car for any outings works. We like taking turns packing it on trips. And we have just more comments of parents saying thank you for the great information.
Of course, it's my pleasure.